Hi, welcome to, I'll call it a side edition of Blue Collar Sports Talk. I'm a fan of alliteration, so I'd come up with the name Laura's Locker Room. Laura is a registered
Dietitian.
dietitian, and I have asked Laura to do this show a few times. And I feel that she might be a bit of a perfectionist because she's like, I want to know what I'm talking about, and I have to have a whole thing. And I'm like, that's fine. That's fine. So today I ran across an article on ESPN. I will try and get that link in the description. Kristen Shilton, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Kristen, wrote a very interesting article, and it's about NHL players using nutrition. And her article's title is Why Nutrition is NHL Players' New Secret Weapon. Nutrition science has come a long way.
Mhm.
Even in my short lifetime, everything is now a science.
Yeah.
Working out is a science, and your diet is a science, basically.
Mhm.
In that article, they mention the co-founder of Elevated Eats, and her name is Amanda Jurin, I believe. I had to go down the rabbit hole to find the pronunciation, and I came across a podcast that she was on with Maddie Moon, and I will try to also put that link in the description. It was very interesting. To me, what Amanda has done has created a company that makes food, meal prep, and a whole menu for all of these athletes. And I wanted to get Laura's take on that and what she found interesting about it, what she didn't find too, or what she might have not liked potentially. So I first want to start off by saying sports nutrition is a huge deal. University of Nebraska-Lincoln has nutritional health and sciences program within the education and human sciences. There are varied focuses, and you have the ability to continue after obtaining a bachelor's degree and continue on for a master's and beyond. For instance, UNL grad student and basketball star Sam Habe is studying nutrition and health sciences. Also, the University of Nebraska preseason basketball rankings came out for the women, and they're ranked 22. Go Huskers.
Woohoo.
Yeah. And side note, both of us are kind of hometown homers when it comes to fans of some of the Husker sports. True
I would
or
agree
false?
with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have played volleyball.
In high school, I played volleyball, basketball, and softball.
Okay. So how did you get to this journey of being a certified dietitian?
So, just to nitpick it. So, what I am is a registered dietitian nutritionist, and that is a protected term. So, to be able to call yourself that, you have to pass a national licensing exam and do a supervised practice of over 1,200 hours working with other dietitians.
Whoa, time out. 1,200 hours?
Yeah.
Holy Huskers.
Yeah. So basically, it took almost a year. A lot of the other programs so other people who don't follow that path, they can call themselves nutritionists, but they are not dietitians. So all dietitians are nutritionists, but not all nutritionists are dietitians. So dietitians, we do the rigorous training and have a lot of college science classes, like the program you were talking about. Sam did. That's what I did. So I got my bachelor's and master's from UNL Nutrition and Health Science program.
Right.
So,
and what I want to, I'm sorry for interrupting. What I want to point out is I don't know what licenses or potentially certifications Amanda might have. Everything that I've seen, she calls herself a chef, and has worked with some holistic approaches. She works with a doctor. I didn't check any of his credentials. I'm not sure, or their credentials. I'm not sure. Out of Beverly Hills, and she uses them for their laboratory to figure out what menu or diet might work better for some people. Because every menu that she states she prepares is tailored or customized for how their body works, what their body can digest and metabolize, and things that they don't. And sometimes it even, from what I've read today, they've found allergies for certain foods that they've eaten their entire life and didn't realize that they had. So that was my side, and I apologize for interrupting. So continue with what you were saying.
Well, I guess the reason I bring up the credential part is because a lot of people can say, oh, I'm a nutritionist and I'm going to do these things, but that doesn't mean that they're backed by research or evidence. So, I guess I didn't look too closely at the doctors that she works with, or, any of the testing that they were using. But I think some of the research that I've seen regarding some of those like home allergy tests and things like that, maybe they're not the most evidence-based or accurate. So that's why, I have a little bit of a pause when I see something like that. So
I found it very interesting that she uses someone to do lab work. From my standpoint, having dealt with colitis my entire life, and only recently having had it diagnosed as colitis, I went to college, graduated from UNL in 1995. And what sticks out in my mind is I went to a gastrointestinal doctor that they did the barium, where then they also take pictures to see if you have any blockage or whatnot. And I had the most embarrassing episode after I left in a college, I believe, history class, where my barium just exploded out of my body. I don't believe I ever went back to that class. But I bring this up because that gastro doctor, after that and after a colonoscopy, looked at me and said, we don't know. We have no clue. So I've had to deal with a diet and trying to get enough nutrients in my body kind of on my own, because after a doctor looks at you in the face and is like, well, we have no clue. Great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Here's my money. Here's the billing. Thank you. So I don't necessarily think that Amanda is, like you say, certified or licensed by any means, but she is using some lab work from what I've found to try to tailor a menu. And she calls herself a chef. I'm curious what you find interesting about that.
Well, I think what you're describing actually is kind of the problem that a lot of dietitians and a lot of patients are facing is, there's not coverage for people to see dietitians, or, people don't want to pay out of pocket, to see a dietitian unless you're someone who has the means and resources. So like in your example, yes, I think absolutely you should have seen a dietitian back in 1995 when you were diagnosed.
I was in 95. Yeah. I wasn't diagnosed with anything.
Or when you were first starting on this journey.
Yeah.
And I still think you should see a dietitian. Someone besides me. But someone who specializes in that, because like any area of medicine, dietetics is so specialized. Like, we're talking a little bit about sports nutrition right now, and I know I dabble in it just from, being around the field and kind of people I know, but it is definitely not my specialty. And
since you brought that up, I'd like to allow you to brag about yourself. What is your specialty?
So my specialty is renal nutrition. I worked at a dialysis center for 6 years now. That's kind of my passion is the kidneys.
Whenever you talk about it, I hear that is your passion, because you love to talk about it, and helping people is one of your passions. I've been taught over the years there's two things you can do in life, and that's hurt society or help society. And I feel that you're one of the people that you do everything you can to help society.
I try anyway.
Yeah, and that's but trying is great. If you don't try, that's 100% failure rate in my case study that I call life.
Right.
If you don't try, you're gonna fail.
Fair.
So you dabble in sports medicine, or I'm sorry, gosh, my brain. Sports science, diet,
nutrition.
There we go. My brain's all over the place. Did you find, I'm going to call it a business model, Amanda's business model, interesting from a nutrition standpoint?
Yeah, I think the elements of it, I think, for those athletes that, maybe aren't the Tom Brady's or the Michael Jordans who, you know, compared to maybe the average person, they're well off, but compared to other athletes, they're not earning the top amounts. I think it's an interesting thing for like someone who can't afford their own private chef. I do think that is an interesting business model. Just the content of it is kind of where I have hangups, and yeah.
And I get that. Not everybody can agree on everything.
Yeah.
To use the chef model, you get too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
And let's say there's 5 cooks in the kitchen. All 5 cooks aren't going to agree. But I found it interesting. The article started out with an NHL player that has been traded around a few times and is in Colorado with the Avalanche right now. And he said, I found myself being tired a lot. And he stated, well, I was eating all the processed stuff. I was eating all the power bars or the protein bars, but I was still feeling tired. So I wanted to find out a reason. And I don't know if he was paid by Amanda to say that. The reason I say that, I have a journalism degree. And anymore, if you see an article, it makes me wonder, well, who paid for that article? Did someone buy
sponsor it?
That story? Did somebody sponsor that story? In this day and age, almost every story, has some underlying reason why it's wrote. Now, this one, I don't know for sure. I have no clue. Kristen is a writer and specifically deals with NHL. So it felt like someone might have spoon-fed her this information. And this podcast, I'm giving Amanda a lot of airtime. I'm giving ESPN airtime, but no one is paying for free, right? No one has paid me a dime. I mean, I can give you the bills of all the equipment and show you how much money I have lost on this podcast.
And I think I think the story illustrates the usefulness and the need for sports nutrition. Like, absolutely. I think working with a sports dietitian can really help athletes, recover well, elevate their performance. I think absolutely there is an application for that when it's an evidence-based provider providing evidence-based recommendations is kind of where I got lost. It didn't seem like that was being provided to him necessarily. So yeah, if he was working with one of the UNL sports dietitians, I think they have like 5 on staff.
They have a number.
Yeah, I know at this conference I went to, University of Florida football, their dietitian was featured on a presentation, and they have 3 dietitians just for football. So
you were featured in a podcast not too long ago. Ann Elizabeth, who is also, I believe, a dietitian, had you. And I will also try to leave that link in the description as well. That was very interesting. So the science behind all of this, to me, it boils down to one thing, and that's money. University of Nebraska, Lincoln, prior to the last, I'll say 7 to 10 years, has had a premier football program. And Boyd Epley did a lot of scientific research to find out what strength and conditioning needed to be done for the athletes. And then that bleeds over into what science is needed for the athlete's diet.
Oh, yeah.
And from what I understand, the training table, or what they call the area where all the athletes that go to the University of Nebraska are allowed to eat, is amazing.
Yeah. I haven't seen it recently, but from what I've heard a presentation from one of the UNL dietitians, it sounds amazing. Like, I wish I could have that now as an adult on my own,
Right.
And like as a student, it would have been like, I can't even describe how awesome that would be to have all these healthy foods just readily available to you whenever you wanted.
I've seen photos of athletes eating, and their plates are just heaping full of just delicious, delicious food.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not junk food, or I shouldn't say junk food. It's not nutritionally lacking in like vitamins and, those things that they do need for recovery and proper hydration and muscle building, you know. So yeah, that's why I do. Yeah, there absolutely is a place for nutrition and health science in sports. It just needs to come from the right person in the right place.
I agree. Wholeheartedly agree. And great segue, sports. This is a sports talk show.
Yeah.
Our Huskers are playing, our Lady Husker volleyball team is playing the University of Wisconsin in Madison this evening.
Yep.
Wisconsin is rated, I believe. Oh, I started to write down the rating and then I
believe they're number 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say I left it off, but I thought they were in the top 10.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 6, but okay. So we're saying 5.
Mm-hmm.
Upcoming here, so we have Wisconsin tonight at 8 p.m. on Big Ten Network. The 29th, which I believe is Saturday, we're at home against Maryland. That's at 7:30. That's on Big Ten Plus. And then next Wednesday, November the 2nd, we take on Indiana in Lincoln, and that is on the Big Ten Network. I looked up what we as the Huskers have done in our series with Wisconsin lately. They own us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was an eye opener. The Badgers right now are 8-0 at home this year. They lead the Big Ten with a .270 hitting percentage and second in opponent hitting percentage at .151. The last time UNL won against them, it was a 5-set match win on September 30th, 2017 in Lincoln.
Oh, wow.
And the last win in Madison was November 8th, 2013.
Wow.
Since November 2013, UNL is 2-10 against the University of Nebraska and 0-6 at the University of Wisconsin Fieldhouse in Madison. That being said, I think we have just as good a chance if any. The majority of these matches that I looked up, they were all 5-set matches, so they could have gone either way.
Mm-hmm.
This is also going to be a fun rematch of last year's NCAA championship match.
Yes.
In Wisconsin.
Yep.
And in my humble opinion, whenever you play on the road, you usually add a little bit of momentum, what have you, with the home team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have the crowd. I believe they hold the record now for
attendance.
They broke our record against Creighton that we set earlier this year.
I don't know if that was at the Fieldhouse though.
Was it? Oh, okay.
I don't know for sure, but you're right. They did set that record, but I'm not sure if it was at the Fieldhouse or not. But we do that sometimes. We play at different sites, and we got our record at CHI Health Arena or Center, whatever they call it, in Omaha to get that record.
Yeah.
And I'll say it again, Trev Alberts, if you somehow hear this, you need to allow the University of Nebraska volleyball women's team to play at Memorial Stadium.
I'd go.
It would be packed.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
The Huskers are on a 11-game win streak.
Mm-hmm. Haven't dropped a set since October 2nd, I believe.
And we have some amazing underclassmen, specifically freshmen.
Yeah.
Becca Alec is on a back-to-back Big Ten Freshman of the Week, as well as currently holding the team's best hitting percentage. Becca Alec. Lexi Rodriguez is the reigning AVCA National Freshman of the Year and Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, which is huge.
Yeah.
She's averaging 4.7 digs per set. And in the back row along with her is Kenzie Knuckles. She's part of what I call, again, I love alliteration, dazzling and dynamic Husker back row. She's helping the Husker team lead the Big Ten in digs per set. Our team is 15.08 digs per set as a team. And without those two back there.
Oh, yeah. No way.
But even Maddie Kubik is getting some great digs when she's in the back row. And Caitlin Horde is a graduate transfer. I was blown away when I read this. She ranks second among active NCAA Division I players in career blocks.
Really?
With 620.
Holy cow.
She is third in blocks per set and fifth in career hitting percentage among all active NCAA Division I players. And
that's impressive.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And
well, that's what they say. Defense wins championships.
Defense does win championships. I love hearing people say defense wins championships.
Well, I would say, especially in volleyball, I feel like,
yeah,
keeping the ball alive is what's going to get you your points eventually.
What's concerning about all of those stats that I read is the Badgers' opponent hitting percentage at .151.
Mm-hmm.
So we know the Huskers have a great defense. We know the Badgers have a great defense. And that's why you play, to see who comes out on top.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to go 5 sets. It's going to be a long evening in Madison, and someone's going to come out on top.
Yeah.
And I just hope it's the Huskers. I really do. We're talented.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Laura and I texted earlier this week when she found out that Nebraska was #1, and I went, oh, that's good and bad. I want our players to be hungry and strive for more. And with that #1 rating, sometimes the youth of the world can go, oh, we can beat anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I hope John Cook gets them a little, not even a little. I hope John Cook has them 100% dialed in and ready to play.
I feel like they are, just in some of the matches that I've watched, there have been times where they've let up a little bit, but they have been able to kind of regroup and get themselves back in the game and kind of put the foot on the gas pedal again.
Yeah, mash that gas pedal to the floor.
Yeah.
I've noticed too that they start out a little bit slow. And what is concerning to me is all of the service errors.
Yeah.
As the match progresses, there's fewer. But the beginning of the match, for whatever reason, all the pre-match jitters and nerves and anxiousness, I want to get this started. I see that possibly being a reason. Maybe that serve, they're trying to hit that 1% of the floor, which can be tough to get that dialed in. So maybe you'll serve it long or serve it a little short and hit the net. What other things have you noticed watching the Huskers volleyball this year?
Well, I just think, to me, the reason that they're going to win is they have such a well-rounded team that anyone can have a good night. This past weekend, it was Becca having a great night. The week before, it was Caitlin when we played Penn State. She had, I don't even know how many blocks, tons of kills. Other games, it's been Whitney Lonstein being the big hitter. So I feel like our team is just so well-rounded, and you never know who's going to be the main hitter that night. And that's even leaving out Maddie Kubik, our senior, So anyone.
Or Krause.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
and
noticed,
Allie, who comes in off the bench. I mean, that's 6 people we just talked about that are
or Ani Evans.
amazing hitters.
And Kennedy Orr. She did an amazing job when Nicklin Hames was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
What I found interesting this last set, or this last match, I felt that our opponent focused on the player who previously had the best match. And then they kind of forget about Krause or Lonstein or Kubik.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. They'll throw a double block up on somebody who previously had a great week, and then that allows the rest of the team just to step up. And for me, watching Kenzie Knuckles smash a ball out of the back row is fun. Also, Maddie Kubik is killer from the back row. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, and I think they're playing smart too, because I noticed against some of the teams they've played recently, instead of just, going up and trying to swing and hit as hard as they possibly can, sometimes they'll go for the roll shot or the tip. So, they get the point rather than trying to get the big hit.
I believe we watched this match together when they were talking to Coach Cook before the match, and the interviewer said, "Hey, we heard through whatever means that Big Hit Wit wants to be known as Smart Hit Wit." And Coach just beamed with a grin, and he's like, I'm going to use that, and I'm going to hold her to that. And I think she has
Yeah,
grown tremendously from last year.
absolutely.
She doesn't come out and just try to knock the cover off the ball,
Hmm.
and she tries to find those placement areas. Becca Alec is a true freshman. I think
Hmm.
is doing an amazing job at finding the right places.
Yeah,
And it doesn't always have to be a spike. She did a couple just little tips
yeah,
just to get it there. So much fun to watch.
yeah, yeah. And that's, like I said, the variety I think is what makes them fun to watch. It's not always just your one big hitter. It's who's going to be the hitter this time.
And how they gel as a team.
Yeah.
They bring Caitlin Ord in as one of the family, and they've embraced her. They went up against her, so previous years they've known what she can do, and she is lights out, and it's fun to see them work together.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a fun season so far, and hopefully we'll walk away with another win.
All right. I think they will in 5 sets on the road.
Oh yeah, for sure, 5 sets.
Nebraska wins tonight. Any parting thoughts?
No, just go Big Red.
Go Big Red. All right, folks, this was Laura's Locker Room edition of Blue Collar Sports Talk. Go watch some sports.